rook and pawn versus knight, it's winning. If we get rook and pawn versus knight and pawn, it depends where the pawns are. Rook has really good winning chances, but you could accidentally draw the game. So it's all going to come down to whether the pawns survive. And now white only has 2 remaining. Rook g5 check from Torch, making the king make a decision, but more importantly, winning the tempo. In chess, it's all about winning the tempo, playing the game on your terms. Rook to g4 is a very important move. Now you do 2 things. Number 1, you cut off the king from the rest of the board. Number 2, you force the knights to tie their shoes together. I don't know why horses are wearing shoes. King to g3, that's a winning threat. The threat is to take. The threat is to get rid of both knights. This pawn can't be stopped. This pawn can be stopped. So black goes knight h5. The white king walks closer to the center of the board. It's really bad news. Knight f6. Rook goes here, cutting off this knight's access. a5, a6, a7, a8 is on the way. Black has to scamper back to defend. Knight d7. Knight d7 is a really tough move, by the way. It's never too late to blunder a fork in an endgame, which is why we slide back. Now black is in a tough spot. White right now is threatening rook c6. So for example, king g6, you would play a5, rook c6. Black can't move any pieces. And then you would play h5. You just can't. It's the worst 2 pawns to play defense against, especially if you have a knight. So c5, rook e4, targeting the knight. Where's the knight going to go? Is this knight going to play passive defense? Then you can't stop the pawn. So the knight tries to be active. Now you go a5. Now the pawn is 3 squares away from queening. Black's time is running out. Knight goes back to b8. Black is looking for a defensive fortress with the knight on c6, but the rook targets the pawn. The pawn can't be protected. You can't defend the pawn, both knights, and the a pawn. c4. That is so important. You could have tried to play rook c5 in this position. Then I would have went c3. And I would have used the tactical defense with this fork to save my pawn. And if you try to walk in, now the pawn is too close to queening. Now the rook has to defend the pawn. The rook cannot go and target the other knight. If I go rook c8 threatening this, oops. Oops. Which is why in this position, after c4, you have to attack the knight first. You have to make the knight make a decision. Do you go back to defend the pawn and the knight? Do you come forward? What are you going to do? You go back. Now I play a6. Now you can't take because rook d6 is a fork. You also cannot protect the c-pawn anymore. The knight goes back to a7. And now I play rook c5. And the worst part about this is that I am not actually threatening the pawn. I am actually threatening, if knight a6, that is the dagger. The fact that you needed to defend yourself stacking on the a file, my threat is on the pawn, but the bigger threat is on your knights.